Thank you, moderator. Hello everyone, my name is Adam Geordrey and James Melody from SMK Sebauh. Today I would like to present my research paper entitled Using Notes Expansion Through Two-Way Writing in Enhancing Students' Writing Skill. Now, before we move on, let's see the abstract of this research paper. Students' incapability to write an essay up to the minimum required word count are mostly caused by the problem of not knowing how a complete essay is written out and structured, thus contributing in the problem of not knowing how to initiate a writing. Now, since essay writing requires adequate knowledge on English language vocabulary, brainstorming, sequencing, and logical or creative thinking, students who are lacking in one of these may not be able to write an essay up to fulfill the minimum required standard. Now for the introduction. This paper discussed the impact of using notes expansion in enhancing students' writing skill, referred to as reverse method using notes expansion, a two-way writing. The target location for this research is SMK Sebauh, and the research subject is divided into two groups, which are the experimental group and the control group. For the experimental group, 28 students from 3A class were selected, while for the control group, 28 students from 3D class were selected. As for the data collection method, I am using survey, using questionnaire, pre-test, while test, and post-test to record the data for the progress and performance, as well as observations for progress and performance during intervention. This data that is obtained throughout the research is then analyzed as presented in the data shown in this paper. Now, for the research background, the focus of this research is on the issue faced by the Form 3 students in improving their writing skill using the English language. Reading skill is integrated as the two-way process, which I call as the reverse method, because it is quite impossible to isolate the four skills in learning language, which are the writing, listening, reading, and also speaking. So here, instead of using the sample answer as a reference for their essay writings, students are to break down the sample answer into the mind map. So the rationale of doing this is because students should be able to see the pattern in the essay writing, the structure on how point form and notes form are expanded into a complete essay. If they are able to do this, they know how it works. So if they know how it works, they should be able to do from scratch, from zero into something. Now, for this method, students are expected to detect the structure of the essay by breaking them into the main points, additional ideas, elaborations, and examples. Now, let's look at the research problem. By making the reflection on the past teaching and learning process, we can summarize that students' writing skills are influenced by the techniques used in the writing process. Now, let's look at the data. 48% of the students that I had selected in this research shows that they write the essay straight away without having any draft, while 0.37 write the essay using their own mind map. 25.9% write essay by completely following the mind map given, which means they do nothing, just follow it blindly, and 22.2% write the essay using notes added to the mind map, which is the exact way how this method works. Now, this trend of writing habits contributed in the issues of redundant ideas, poor sentence or paragraph coherency, and unorganized sequence of ideas. And that is why this method is invented to solve this issue so that they are able to write a better quality essay. Now let's look at the research objective. The objective of this research are, firstly, to identify the problems faced by the students in essay writing. Secondly, to evaluate the impact of using two-way writing, the reverse method using notes expansion. Now, the method used in this research, there are three. The first one, survey, interviews, and observations. This one is for me to design the method itself, in which the original method should have some spots for improvement. So how to do that is by conducting surveys. I gave the students questionnaires on around 20 items, and I'll show it in the data later. So the next method was pre-test, while test, and post-test. This one is to record the progress and the performance of the students throughout the research, and the intervention, where it was divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2, where intervention part 1 was conducted in between pre-test and while test, as well as the second intervention, which was conducted in between while test and the post-test. Now let's look at the highlights of the survey. So here, the question of do you think writing is fun is one of the items asked in the survey, the questionnaire. So before the intervention was conducted, there were 14 students out of the 28 from the experimental group says that writing is fun but it is not related to them, while 11 out of 28 says that it is not fun. That one was before the intervention was conducted. So after the intervention, the first part, the same question was asked, do you think writing is fun? 4 of them still firm with the answer no, while 13 has changed the attitude and saying it's a fun activity to do. The next question, how do you write your essay? If before the intervention was conducted, 19 of them were saying that they actually read the essay without having any draft. But after the intervention, the data shows a big change where none of them write the essay without having any draft, which is after intervention, by using the method, the two-way writing method, and 23 actually add notes on the map before writing. So that's how this method works. Alright, let's look at the research findings. Using notes expansion through two-way writing and enhancing students' writing skills are evaluated under 3 categories. The first one, observation on attitude changes. From the research, we can see that the students are showing more interest during essay writing activity. This is only happening after the intervention. Why? Because students are often asked to do things without knowing why they are doing it. So with this method, they know the purpose of doing it and they are doing it wholeheartedly. Besides, these students are able to complete each writing task under allocated time. And this is very important because in the exams, no matter how good or how slow you are in writing, you have to be abide by the time allocated. So by having this method, students are trained to follow the time given allocated for each sections, especially in writing out the essay. Moving on to the collective data through interviews and surveys on the students' emotion. It is realized that significantly this method has creates competitive atmosphere during task completion. How does this work? So during the intervention, students are given allocated time, which means that they have to get everything done under the time constraint. So it determines who did it best or who did it the fastest. So by having this method while teaching the writing skill itself, it actually creates the competitive atmosphere and actually enhance the learning process itself. Now, students no longer see essay writing as burdening but a privilege. How does this work? Let's see this for an example. If the topic is about your dream vacation, if before, of course, what lies in the back of the student's mind is the answer sample, the standard answer sample on your dream vacation. But now, after implementing this method, they are free to think of whatever things they wanted to do, whichever place they wanted to go. And this is how this method works in helping them to enhance their writing skills. Moving on to the impact of the writing method use, the two-way writing. Now, the essay that they are producing is produced in a better content, better coherency, and a high quality. Besides, these students are having a better time management when writing their essay. Next, we shall see the effectiveness of the method by comparing the pre-test, while test, and the post-test result. There are 28 students from each group, experimental and control group, but for this one, I purposely chose 6, where 3 are males and 3 are females to avoid the bias. So now let's look at the experimental group. We can see the very clear difference of the pre-test, while test, and post-test after the student has undergoes the first part of the intervention and the second part. Meanwhile, for the control group, which did not go through the same intervention, they are having almost the same attitude as we can see on the results shown on the table. Now, as you can see, the intervention sampling. So how does this work? The first part is for the students to break the whole complete essay and make it into how the question looks like. So this is the first way. And the two-way is by using the same template, they are now going to produce the exact essay but with a different subject matter. And the next one, the easiest way to look at this process, as it is called a two-way method, is the first one, they need to break from something and make it into a smaller elements to see the structure and how everything was arranged. Once they understand how the essay was written out, they are going to write one of their own. So that is how using notes expansion through two-way writing will enhance the writing skills among the students. Now let's look at the contribution of this research. This research has highlighted the identified problems faced by students in essay writing and the cause of these problems. Besides, it has also shown positive impact of using notes expansion through two-way writing, a reverse method in enhancing students' writing skill. It is also indicated a positive outcomes of utilizing both essay question and essay product towards students' independent writing skills, so nothing go to waste. And the conclusion is this research has proven the positive impact of using notes expansion through two-way writing, a reverse method in enhancing students' writing skills. Thus, teachers are encouraged to apply this method in teaching writing skills in the English language lesson. So, a suggestion for future research: to see a greater impact when applying this method, teachers are suggested to ensure the selection of materials to be used in the sense of topic, difficulty level, and familiarity suits the respective students. So with that, I thank you, and I hope this research contribute in the knowledge of the world and of course to you. So I hand it back to the moderator. Thank you.